We'll start. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. It is the 20th of October, and this is a special town board meeting for the town of Rhinebeck to discuss, answer questions, talk to anybody who's interested about our thoughts on court consolidation. So thanks for coming, and would you all join me in the pledge? I
I
pledge
pledge allegiance to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. I guess, we don't have very many big public hearings on Facebook. We've tried to not do too many local laws because, I mean, not on Facebook, on Zoom. But I guess, you could either mute yourself or unmute yourself, but if you get feedback, mute yourself. And if you want to speak, you can unmute yourself and raise your hand and go from there. This is a town of Rhinebeck meeting, so it's myself and Deputy Supervisor Alan Scher and Chauncey Walker and Josh Pulver and Ed Roberts. And we have Ben Seiden from the LaBerge Group, who the LaBerge Group is the group that won the bid to look at the court consolidation plan for the town and village. And I guess, we have a slideshow we could go through, but it's a bit long. I guess we could start out by saying that we have been looking at consolidating and sharing services with the village really ever since Mayor Bassett was elected. You have two municipalities right across the street from each other who are committed to working together and supporting each other. We have the first grant we got, it was before Mayor Bassett was elected, was to consolidate our IT. And we did that at the town hall with servers and mobile units that go through the server that back both town and village hall up and allow us to share information. We did a highway consolidation study, which didn't really go as well as we thought. I'd like to look at it again at some point because I do think we could look at consolidating the highway and our maintenance departments. We have done consolidation with fire protection with our village fire department. We have joint committees. We have a joint environmental committee that's looking at policy and all of our sustainability issues. So this is a commitment for us. And this grant was suggested to us by the county shared services grants back in spring of 2017. I think we applied for it and we won it in, I guess, it gets awarded in the fall, so the fall of 2017. And this is something that we talked out on publicly noticed meetings. I know the public often feels like they're not included, but all of our business is done in the open and through publicly noticed meetings. And that's our way of letting people know what's going on. So we applied for the county grant through a resolution on the 17th of May of 2017. We had a resolution on the 24th of May to extend an extension request. And that was mostly because Red Hook Town and Village is also looking at consolidation. They piggybacked onto our grant and they needed more time. We requested bids at a public meeting in August of 2019. We awarded the contract to LaBerge at a public meeting in September of 2019. We approved LaBerge contract at a public meeting at the end of October last year. In April of this year, we had an addendum to the contract with LaBerge, which was to allow them to go after grant money for us. And we had another addendum to the contract in June, which I don't remember what that was for. We did have a final report on the consolidation. And then between this June and September, we had several meetings where the committee reviewed the drafts of the proposal. And the final proposal was presented in September and adopted by the village then and the town as well. So in the state of New York, villages do not need to have a justice court, but towns do. We have two municipalities literally right across the street from each other. And I believe, I won't speak for the board, that it is incumbent on us to reduce duplicity, to reduce redundancy whenever we can. So we have the same two judges in an office in the village. They have an office in the town. They have a computer system in the village. They have a computer system in the town. They have clerks in the village. They have clerks in the town. They keep office hours in the village that is not full office hours, and they keep part-time office hours in the town. They bring prisoners up to court in the village on different days than they bring them up to the town. We want to meld them together. We want to create one justice court that is run by the town, that serves all the residents. Village residents are town residents. This isn't about saving money in as much as it is about improving the end service for you and for the people in the court. Our courts are not compliant with safety. We don't have a dedicated entranceway for the public with metal detectors and safety features. We don't have bars for prisoners to be handcuffed. We don't have a dedicated entrance for the justices to move from their chambers to the bench. We don't have full-time office hours. And we have a space issue in Town Hall. Town Hall was built as a WPA project in 1939 and served as a community house. The downstairs used to be a kitchen. There's a stage upstairs. It's 2020 and our needs are different. We have most of our staff working in the basement, and we need to bring some offices upstairs, and we need to look at renovating, turning our stage into an office space. And we looked at this as a way to capture state grants to help us get a lot of way to renovation by creating a new office space for the courts that would then free up the court space for our assessors. So this is a holistic plan that we've been looking at for a long time. And we really believe that it's in the best interest of not only the public, but the way that the services are delivered. That it's a cost saving is ancillary for me. If it cost a little bit more money, but it was more effective, I'd still be for it. This delivers a better cohesive service, and it seems like a no-brainer because we have the same judges who will still be the same judges as long as they're elected by the public. I don't know, does anybody on the board have anything to add to that?
I think you said it all, really.
Yes, that was an excellent introduction.
Thank you, Chance. Any questions from anybody, or any discussion, any concerns?
Hi, Elizabeth, this is Roger Kwan.
Hi, Roger.
How are you?
Good, thanks for coming.
Thanks for organizing this. So I have to confess that the action to consolidate the courts was a little surprising to me. So I appreciate you taking the time to share some background and your thoughts here. So if I understand you correctly, the consolidation effort is as much about improving the facilities for town government as it is about improving services.
I'd say that it's a bonus. It's a great bonus that we have. We need the space. Yes, it's certainly part of the consideration. But if this were not the right thing to do for the courts, we wouldn't be doing it to gain space. We have a healthy funds balance. We have a capital projects plan to renovate space. And if the courts aren't consolidated, there are other things we could do, but this is the right thing to do for the courts. We don't need redundancy in government. And a bonus is that we gain space that is paid for through grants.
And if those grants don't show up?
Then we don't renovate until we get them.
Okay.
We make do.
That was,
Jonna?
yes, Elizabeth. Hi, I just wanted to add to what Roger just said. That was a concern of mine as well, that it seemed premature to take the vote to abolish the village court before any grant had even been secured, it was concerning to me that perhaps in the future, once they were already consolidated and you found out that the town hall does not have enough space and a grant couldn't be found, that then taxpayers would have to shoulder the burden of the renovations.
So first of all, I'm an incredibly fiscally responsible supervisor, and so is your board. I think you see that in your tax rates. We have the lowest tax rate in the county, and that's something that I pride myself on. We are at critical mass in our town hall, and something does have to be done. You know, Gary and I, the mayor, looked at the Bulkley School and knew that that's something we couldn't touch because even though we have money, it would cost too much. We're going to need to do some kind of renovation to town hall at some point, but this is not about a renovation to town hall. This is about not having redundancies. And it doesn't make sense that there's an half-empty office in the village hall and a half-empty office in the town hall, both doing the same thing for the same judges. I mean, so, but if these courts were consolidated, they could easily work out of one of the spaces as it is. And then we will, it's all been considered. And this is what you elect us to do. We make these decisions all the time. We'll renovate if and when we get the money or if and when we can afford it. It's just like how we build out our park, we save.
Hi,
Who's this?
Susan.
Hi.
Hi. So let me see if I can frame this correctly. So you had mentioned that currently you're not compliant for safety, and this would add, in addition to what you're saying, safety features. Am I correct in that one?
Yes.
So I
It
actually,
would have the number of times we have to do safety features because neither court is compliant.
okay, that's fine. So you answered my question. So I actually had a chance to read through the report. And is that report available? I mean, is it public, the report?
Of course, yeah, of course it's
Where
public.
is it?
It's on our website.
It's on your website,
Yeah,
okay.
you can go to our website or you can go to eCode and you could just search
Yeah.
for the court consolidation report.
On the
Okay, so-
first page of the town website,
Okay,
there is a line that says Q&A or some such for
No,
about
Alan,
court.
we're talking about the report from
I'm
LaBerge.
getting there.
It's on our website.
But there's a link on that page that takes you directly to the report.
okay. Well, I actually have seen the report, but some people asked me where the report was, so I can now
As
furnish
soon as
them
we
with
received
information.
the report, we put it on our webpage like we do with all of our public documents. And
Okay,
it's always available. You can always call the clerk or me and we'll just email it out.
thank you. So I guess this is a question, I'm gonna go to Ben, because I did read through the project plan, and I did read through the budget. And I'm wondering that when this was put together, were there COVID-19 was obviously here for part of the writing of this project, but in terms of making provisions for COVID in the future, I know that is now being seen as adding additional cost to budgets in terms of making it so that it's safe, you know, with the air filtering and how you're going to get people into a courthouse and be able to socially distance them. So I guess my question to you, Ben, is that a factor?
I'm going to answer the question, Susan.
Okay,
Yeah, that's okay. There is no firm plan yet. There is a sketch of how we want the court to look. Once consolidation is approved, or if it's not approved and we have to do something else, then we will develop a plan. I don't know that, and we'll certainly look at air handling, but I'm not an engineer and I don't know the specs and we don't know what the cost is. Right now, we're remote and we're not allowing the public in, and we're dealing with COVID in the way that the state Department of Health and County Department of Health tells us to do, which is to wear masks, to socially distance, and to not have a lot of people in. I don't know about an air handler, and that's not in.
well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there's software out there now that's being used. I'm not a construction person, but
Are
I
you
know
talking
that
about tracking?
I'm talking about tracking, I'm talking about getting the project done so that you're COVID, compliant. But my point is that if in fact you do go forward with it, that would be an additional expense that I did not see in the budget. And I'm wondering if that's something that would add, and I don't know how much it would add, but it's certainly an expense that needs to be factored in and should be, whether the project comes to fruition or not. I mean, it's a
Sure.
real cost.
But
Sure.
either way, we'd either have to do it twice if we keep 2 courts, or just do it once. So that's the gross, that's the gross view of it anyway.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Alan.
you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? What are people's concerns and why the I guess the distrust or the fear of this? This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is what New York State is propelling us to do, is to consolidate and share. And honestly, Gary and I have become a model in the county for towns and villages notoriously are at each other's throats. And we're the poster children in this county for how you work together and you get things done for your taxpayers. So it's kind of boggling to me that this isn't embraced. No one's being misplaced. It is going to be a better facility, and it is going to have better services. And it's the way that we move forward. I mean, school districts should be looking at this. We have 2 school districts right next to each other with, under 1,000 kids.
Yep.
Any questions, thoughts, concerns, comments?
I guess I could try to put a voice, Janet Tiberio, I could try to put a voice to your question there about why people might be upset about something that seems so straightforward and common sense. Because right out of the bag, it seems to make sense to streamline something. Largely, I feel like I was upset about the way it was rolled out. Because I read through the email notices that go out about, the agendas for meetings, just to try to keep an idea of what's going on. And there's always a public hearing. Someone wants to put a new, bigger window in their house, and there's a public hearing for that.
Public hearing is a mechanism for passing a local law. This is not a local law. So a public hearing is a very specific term. I just want to correct that.
Okay, maybe public hearing is the wrong term, but public input.
Yep.
I feel like
the public is always welcome we always have public comment at all of our meetings. I take it for each agenda item. I don't take it at the beginning and the end. People can speak to me or the board throughout the whole meeting. That's how we run our town.
I get that, and I've seen that in action. I just, in this instance, there was the town meeting, and I saw that it was on the agenda that the LaBerge group was submitting their proposal. And so that's fine, but then it was passed that same night. And really what was upsetting to me personally was the village Board of Trustees meeting where the vote was taken, and there was no period for public input to be heard before that whatsoever.
Well, I hear you, but we're the town. And so that I have no, so you would have liked to have seen more discussion on the village side. Which I believe they're going to do. And this consolidation won't take place until March. So I guess in our minds, we were doing this 6 months ahead. And that's a lot of time. But I hear you. I hear you. That's not my purview. That's the village. And I know that the mayor has scheduled at least 2 or 3 sessions. 2.
Well, I attended one when the LaBerge report was presented to the village board. And I believe it was a Zoom meeting, and I believe people had the opportunity to chime in. Gary or Rick could correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe, and the meeting that was referred to a moment ago of ours was just to accept the report. I don't think we went further than that.
No, but I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 publicly noticed meetings where we discussed and put forth resolutions for a vote talking about and planning for court consolidation. And that's how you notice the public and get people involved. I think, but John, I hear you. And I think in our minds, adopting this in September passing this in September for a March adoption gave us 6 months, and that's a good span,
Yeah.
I guess for me, the big difference here is the justices are elected. It's an elected office. So I think it should be given maybe a higher order of scrutiny and voter input. And
The
I
law
don't,
doesn't call for that, Roger. We have to follow the state general municipal law. We can't decide our own process. That's laid out for us by the state of New York.
Mhm.
And they are elected, and they will continue to be elected. We're not, and it's the same 2 judges, so it's not like we're.
Well, today it's the same 2 justices. I mean, but that's the point is it's an elected office. And as we all know, Judge Sanchez is a very respected figure in the village and the town, and has been a large part of the community. And when I was going through the report, I found it strange that he was shown as basically being uncooperative.
Justice Sanchez neither chose to work with us, to share his information with us, to meet with us, or to discuss this. Judge Kane did.
And LaBerge had to foil documents from him. That was the only way they could get input.
We couldn't have access to our own records from him. And maybe it's people don't like change. I don't know, but yes, it's odd.
Okay. So I think for most people who know Judge Sanchez, this is just irregular, and I get this responsibility of the boards to look at ways to improve our life and find ways to find efficiencies when appropriate. So again, for someone who's been part of the system for over 20 years, not to have his input, who understands the
That was
mechanics
his
of the
choice.
court, is strange.
That was his choice.
Okay.
And we asked for it repeatedly. And I asked for his input at budget time repeatedly. That's his choice. And he's a great judge, and I know he's beloved, but it is not his purview to decide how the courts are run. That's our purview, and how they're funded. That is the purview of the town board.
We did want his input, and he chose not to provide it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Mark, hi.
Sorry, this is Mark. Hi. Does anyone know, as a historical matter, was there ever a justification for 2 courts? Like, why did we do this in the first place?
Maybe, who knows? New York state law is old, it's archaic. Most states don't have a village in a town. Most states have a state and a county. It's a very English Dutch old law.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of redundancy in New England because of it. So 100 years ago, maybe you couldn't get to court as easily. I don't know. Frankly, we should be consolidating with Red Hook, Milan, and Clinton. This is so anachronistic. We should have larger jurisdictional justice courts that we should all be sharing.
I like the small nature of our town.
Yes, but that doesn't have anything to do with how the justice court is run. The small nature of your town is preserved because of our land use policy and our vibrant village center. And that's because you have governments paying attention to that. In my opinion.
Well, there's a little moment here. Let me just make 1 or 2 brief comments. I'm on the town board and I voted for this. So obviously, I think it's a good idea and I believe it's a no-brainer. I'm also a resident of the village, and I favor this as much as a resident of the village as I do a member of the town board. I think it's a win-win for both the town and the village. I think it's a win-win in another sense. One is the fair and efficient administration of justice, which Elizabeth has been emphasizing. And the other is just good government, which she's also been alluding to. So just so everybody knows why I voted as I did and how I feel about it.
And, P.S., if and when this is approved, it's our intention to, I would keep trying to work with both justices to make sure that they're happy and it's laid out how they want it. We're not like an iron fist town board. We're like come help us, work with us. A lot of people are sad about the stage maybe going away, but I think we have to change with the times. I think we have to embrace change, and we can't hold on to things, I think, for sentimental reasons. It has to make sense. And we have to still know our history and honor it, but we have to be able to move ahead. We can't have half of our employees working in an asbestos filled basement near an oil burner. It's just yucky.
So Elizabeth, if I may ask another question. Of course, brain freeze. In terms of facilities, I mean, there's a building across the town hall. I think it's a church building.
The Methodist church house.
Yeah, has that been considered to help alleviate the town business issues?
Well, I don't know that it's for sale. Gary and I did look at the Father Brogan Center, but I mean, don't forget, everything we do is what is it called, Gary? Brain freeze for me too. It costs 4 times as much because we have to pay prevailing wage. We have to pay all of our local contractors what New York City union members make in the state of New York. So we're pretty fiscally responsible. We talk about it, we kick it around, but we can't figure any way to get it done for under 7, 8 figures. It's hard. That's why we have a soccer field we haven't built yet. It's $1 million.
I heard about that one.
Have you heard about it?
I heard about it.
We want a community center, but we haven't built that yet. And then you build it and you have to take care of it. So often the building is easy, but it's the ongoing maintenance that is really challenging. Kathleen, hi. Kathleen Rooney from LaBerge is here. We consider everything. And our building was built in 1939 as a WPA project, and there is a plan for a second floor on it. Maybe that's something we could consider. We are going to need to do some renovating and add some space. And the most efficient way we have been able to figure it out, Josh is a RISD trained architect, is to capture the stage and turn that into some office space, and to have the courts and the town board sort of face the same way, have one bench for everybody. For a more efficient use of space. That's the most, hold on now, that's the most cost efficient way that we've come up with, not taking on a new building that needs major renovation.
Yeah. I mean, but the starting point, if we consolidate, is we can use the space that already gets used in town hall for both courts without any change whatsoever. So the starting point is no change whatsoever. And there's 2,000 square feet cleared up in the village hall that they can use for something else.
Fire departments might consolidate at some point, and
So
we were looking at sorry, that's
okay.
That's the motorcycle on the hook here. Our Hillside and Rhinebeck are working really well together, and they're drilling more and more together. And a next big hurdle for us is, how do we handle emergency services in this town? It would be great to have the fire departments consolidate at some point. I'm totally in favor of that, but it's not up to me, it's up to the fire department. So I work for that by having good relationships with the fire departments and supporting them. But that's speaking to the space in the village hall. We're just trying to do the best that we can for the least amount of money to provide the best quality of services. And for me, the quality of service comes before the money. We're thrifty. I am a thrifty supervisor, and you get a lot for your very low tax rate here, in my opinion.
It's a very Dutch village mentality.
Excuse me, Roger, I'd like to answer your question on the Methodist Church because we looked at that a while ago. That church is a fully functioning church with a full-time minister assigned to it, holding regular church services, and so the building's not for sale. They're trying to grow their membership as well in that church, and that's been ongoing for now almost 2 years to be able to do that. So, you know, the Methodist Church is not an option. In regard to the space at Village Hall, our fire department is growing tremendously
Exponentially.
and adding a lot of members. We're really proud of how our fire department is expanding and providing a quality service to both the village and the town. And when we looked at space, we looked at both town and village spaces to determine which is the most advantageous for the future. And with the growth of the fire department that we needed to do, it was more advantageous to really focus on, if we're going to consolidate and it's going to be a town court, to really consolidate and make use of the space at the town.
So the fire department can expand. Chief Amy and I see Chrissy, Captain Amy are on. They have a phenomenal volunteer fire department, and we're all proud and really grateful. And it's robust in this age when people are aging out and people are having to go to a hybrid model. We don't, and that's because of the work that they're doing. So we want to be able to support that. Certainly going to a professional fire department is akin to, school district costs.
I think I'd like to emphasize one thing, and if the folks on LaBerge can help back me up here a little bit. I think one thing that I understood from the report is the level of inefficiency that is brought onto the court systems by having the redundancies, that the clerks were very clear that they spend a lot of time straightening people out, telling them where to go. I've seen some comments from local lawyers who are like, I'd like to have one court that I can be able to go to. The fact that our police officers have to shuffle between two courts and come at different days. The way that we're set up right now has a lot of built-in inefficiency, and it makes for a bad customer experience. If you consider those customers to be the law enforcement or the attorneys or the people who are coming to have a court date, it's a really inefficient and clunky system, and we can do something to make people's interaction with government that much more effective and that much easier. And I think it's something that we try to do all the time, which is improve service. And I think it's hard for most people who don't interact with the court system to understand how much service improvement it would be to have everybody in one place.
And open full time. Our court office closes at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Pre-COVID, the biggest boon to our town clerks was dealing with people coming in to pay tickets and having the court offices be closed. I'm sorry, Alan, go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing is people don't know which court is which. So people are always showing up at one building versus the other.
Be right back.
And missing court dates because they don't know which building to go to. The address 178 East Market, the other's 80 East Market, and I guess the Village Hall address is a little obscure. So they're always coming to town hall to pay fines, and they're not there at the right time, and they're in the wrong building, and that winds up with a huge. I mean, it happens daily. This is not some, once a week kind of a thing. And people show up at the wrong building for their court hearings. It's a mess.
The county sheriff has to bring prisoners up, 2, 3, 4 times a month instead of once a month for one court.
Yeah.
It's. I guess emotionally, I don't even understand it emotionally, but I get that. Johnny, you said you felt that you needed more time. It's not going to happen until March. So I think we have the time.
If it's not going to happen till March, why wouldn't you develop the transition plan more fully of who's going to get let go and how the mechanics are going to work out? And
because we have to deal with the judges. There is a transition plan. It's not brain surgery. it's very simple. The village abolishes their court and all of the records get transferred to the town. We get new furniture. We set it up differently, and the judges and the clerks will have to do that. Each judge has one full-time clerk. The office is open full-time. When a clerk is on vacation, there's coverage. It's pretty well thought out.
It's all in
And
the
when
report.
we renovate once we get grants, once and if we get grants. And if we don't, we live with the space that we have in the town.
I guess I'll give my anecdotal feedback. As you know, I went around, helped collect signatures for the permissive referendum on this issue. The general feedback is that the village court is more accommodating and spacious and efficient than the town court. Again, these are anecdotal comments. Did you get that sense, or what did the report find?
No, I mean,
I think one of the issues is that in the village, we have more call. The fire department uses the upstairs a fair amount too. And
I'm sorry, what, Rick?
The fire department uses that space as well. And also the handicapped accessibility. I mean, we do have the elevator there, or the lift there, but I think the feeling was that handicapped accessibility was a lot more efficient if people come in from the back parking lot of the.
That's not what Roger said. Roger said that he found anecdotally that.
Right, I understand that, but I'm saying is that was looked at, and I think when people took a hard look at it, that ultimately the town facility can be made even better, has more essentially upside than what moving it into the village would be, which would really complicate our space needs.
I mean, also it's up to the judges how it's set up. And we're an inclusive government. We have no turnover in our employees. We support our employees. They solve our problems for us. So this will be done in concert with, hopefully if Judge Sanchez wants to participate, that'd be great because it can be set up how he wants it to be set up. We hold the purse strings and we're in charge of logistics. And our desire is for the end product to be as good as it can for the public.
One last comment, and maybe Burge can help here. Are there any advantages or privileges that a village justice has that the town justice does not have?
No.
So they have all the same judicial discretion.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The town has to have 2 judges. The village only has to have 1. The village could abolish a justice position. I think they do have only 1 elected judge, and then they have what is Judge King's?
And they have an appointed assistant judge also part-time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the town must have 2 judges,
Correct.
and it is the absolute same privilege.
Correct. Town law has 2 required. Village has no more than 2. And village is not required. And
No,
in your case, you have the same exact justices, same exact town village name, a lot of duplication. This new layout, having 1 town court, allows you to have a full day worth of court clerks, open office hours, a reduction in duplicity, a cost savings to the village of about $45,000, enhanced security, enhanced space. Little things in security that people even think about are chairs. By doing the upgrade, you're going to have interlocking chairs, which remove the ability to use a chair as a weapon.
We don't have a place where prisoners can be,
hooked up,
shackled. We don't have a access from the judges, a dedicated access from their chambers to the court.
Correct.
It's
you also
2020.
have a space for client attorney privilege, conferences or meetings. Back in 2008, there's a study that showed that 80% of the courts in Dutchess County do not have attorney-client rooms.
This would give us a separate space for people to meet in.
Correct.
So are these, the issues you're describing, are they specific to the town the village or
No,
both?
Roger,
Oh.
if I may, first, the supervisor, I want to say the town board has done an excellent job in answering all these questions, better than both Kathleen and I can do. But to give her a little bit of a buffer for a second, there is complete duplicity in many layers of government throughout New York State. Justice courts have been viewed by the state controller, by the state attorney general, by modern courts, and by many counties to be areas where you can look at consolidating and become more effective and more efficient. In situations like this, where you have a court literally across the street with the exact same judges, it is unbelievable that it's even existing the way it is right now. You have part-time clerks, you don't know where to go. Most of the cases coming through, you have 3,400 cases a year on average. The vast majority of them are vehicle and traffic tickets from people outside of the village. They have to come sometimes twice or 3 times a month because they're at the wrong location. Add that to the county sheriff bringing prisoners in and out. Add that to the attorneys coming in and out. You have too many people coming to too many buildings without having a clear, concise location from where to act. This is the best possible outcome, where the most efficient process for the village residents and the town residents. It costs savings of $45,000 to the village, and it provides a better overall opportunity for all residents to utilize the town building.
There's a question in the chat about the cost.
Mhm.
Okay. Can I just say again, this isn't about the cost. We do really well with your tax dollars. Yes, we'll save, the village will save 45, the town will spend 19 more. Maybe, maybe not, we'll see. But it's a exponentially better delivery of a quality of service. If we had to spend $50,000 to do this, I would still be for it, because really it's what Ben was saying about people coming 4, 5, 6 times trying to come and get a ticket. It's dysfunctional.
Is that specific to the town, the village? Where are these numbers?
I can't speak to the, I'm in town hall every day.
Right.
I see, and this is pre-COVID. Now no one's coming in town hall. We meet them at the door. But most of the people I meet at the door are there for the court clerks, for a ticket. And
but it's not specific just to Rhinebeck. We're working in Red Hook, and they have the same exact problems, because you have a village in town with the same name. In their case, they're about 1.5 miles, 2 miles away between the two buildings. People, they have justices, you have part-time court clerks, you go to the wrong court, you have to go back, you go back next week, you don't know which Thursday is yours, which Tuesday is yours, you're going back and forth. Having a streamlined government, having a streamlined court is better for the public, it's better for the users. It also reduces the need for court days from 92 to 98, which you have right now, down to about 72 to 74. It's much more streamlined.
You only have to report to the state once, not twice. The reports to the state are very time consuming. I would think it would be better for the judges, and I'm miffed. I don't know why one of our judges is so against this. I know change is hard for some people, but
I'd be curious to hear one reason why we shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was asking whether or not the village and town justice had the same judicial discretion. So if the village justice had more discretion, or the town justice had more discretion to meter out appropriate measures, right, for whatever infraction, then that might be, that would weigh into my decision, frankly.
But it doesn't. That's moot.
Right. So again, it's a process of education for me. I was hoping maybe we could hear from someone in the justice system who understands that process. But
well, I mean, we could do another one and see if both judges will attend. I would still love to work with Willie on this. I don't,
Well, Judge Kane will participate and did appear at both the town and village meetings at which the LaBerge report was presented and spoke in favor of what we are about. So Roger, for what it's worth to you, we do have Judge Kane's active support.
Okay.
Anybody here who has any questions or, I mean, Gary, Mayor Bassett and the village board are going to continue with this. And this is really their, the ball is in their court now. We don't have to abolish our court. We just have to accept their court and make it work, which we're pledged to do. That's what we do in the town of Rhinebeck. No, your town taxes don't go up, Leon. Your taxes aren't even going up the 1.56% this year. We're way under the tax cap. The benefit to you is that you have a department that works better. So the town of Rhinebeck has the lowest tax rate in all of the county. And we have a full-time town hall. We have a full-time supervisor. We're there all the time. We offer you rec services. We are a leader in sustainability energy. I mean, Leon, I think if you have a $500,000 house, you're probably paying what, $900 a year in town taxes. Your taxes won't go up because of this. Your taxes will go up because of healthcare and other things. But this can be well absorbed within our budget. And the benefit to you is a better functioning department.
But will it actually be absorbed by the budget? I mean, if the response is that it's going to take $45,000 out of the village budget and add $19,000 to the town budget,
You're still down. You're still down.
The village gets a net decrease. I don't pay village taxes. So the village gets a $45,000 budgetary decrease in my town
we will
budget.
not, let me just tell you, we will not exceed the tax cap. And
It's already baked in. It's already baked into the 2021 budget. So
there's nothing there. And we could actually decrease the court budget, which we'll think about doing on our public hearing. We'll think about decreasing it because if this doesn't go through, we will ask the village for an intermunicipal agreement. This has not been discussed. This is me speaking and my town board. If this consolidation doesn't happen, we will ask for an intermunicipal agreement to share space and
clerks
and labor staffing.
And is there a cost? Has a cost analysis been done on what it looks like in that alternate
That
scenario?
will just be a savings. And the only thing that it will do is it will shackle us. We won't be able to go after grants. So we'll wait again in 2 years and we'll try it again. We will keep trying to consolidate this because it is the right thing to do.
Okay.
If you want a smaller government and less taxes, consolidation and sharing is what we have to do.
I think those are all valid points. I think a lot of the concern that I've heard has been that we as the residents of the town heard about this was the votes going through for both the village and the town.
Okay, Leon, I'm just going to say one more time. We had 12 public meetings noticed discussing this in the past year and a half. So that's
so part of this may also speak then to how public notices and town and village board minutes are published and presented to the public, because I guess there's a little bit of a disconnect that.
Well, it's up to you as a resident to stay involved. The information is all there.
Yeah,
and I'm not being snarky.
A little bit.
I am okay. I apologize. If I seem to be.
But I'm not intending to be snarky either. But I do try to participate, and I try to find.
You and I owe your wife a call because I'm coming for you. I want you to get involved. But
we try to participate, and some of the info is difficult to find. So there may be an opportunity just to streamline.
Fair enough.
How those things are operated.
And I answer my phone and I answer every email. And if you ever need information, like the buck stops here.
And there was a large article in the Daily Freeman the day after the presentation from LaBerge that kind of summarized the whole thing.
We don't have local press. Trying to communicate on Facebook does not work. It's toxic. I guess 100 years ago, people read the notices in the front window, and any suggestions you have for better reach out that doesn't include Facebook, I am down with it.
Well, we need a town crier, right?
I think Facebook is a perfectly legitimate tool. You just turn off commenting on your posts.
You can't do that. You can't do it. You
Why-
can't do it on a government
Okay,
page.
there's issues there I don't understand. Okay.
Yes,
Well, and I refuse to get on Facebook, so.
it's toxic. We tried it. And people aren't as kind or, I think, thoughtful when they're on Facebook. They
How
tend
about
to,
responsible?
Or respectful.
There you go.
it's toxic.
And Lynn, I would say from the village point of view, we are desperate to find good ways to communicate with people. The one thing that we don't have is much of an ability to push out information. If you put yourself on an email list, you can receive the mayor's messages, you can receive all of our communications, but we don't have a database of everybody's email address in the village or anything like that. There has to be some level that people have to come to us. We don't have the paper. We do post things on Facebook, but it's really hard. And
We're open. We're open.
We're trying. I mean, this is a problem that I think we all look at and go, how can we face this? And
Well, we could put a bulletin board on the village parking lot. How would that work?
Maybe we could do
That's
that.
something.
That's a good idea. But it is something, especially in this modern era when there's not a weekly newspaper. That was usually, remember, the weekly newspaper.
Daily.
Really, a daily or a weekly really served that function.
The Gazette was
to give
great,
people-
and we lost that, and then we lost Chris Munn's paper. So yeah, we're open, Leon.
And it acknowledges that's something we really want to find better ways to communicate with the public. COVID's made it extra hard, but
here we are. We have 1, 2, and I'm grateful you're all here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have maybe 11. We have 12 people here for a meeting where people are dying for information. And we can't, usually we're in town hall by ourselves, or I got three emails this year about the budget and I was thrilled. Your Kristen was one of them. Sometimes we don't know if people are reading or paying attention, and like to have the public involved is wonderful, and it's a goal.
If you served alcohol at town meetings, you get a much better turnout.
I'd get into fights. It would be horrible.
I'll make
Parliament. But I'll take that. We'll take that under consideration.
There you go.
Drink liberally. Come to town hall. Yeah.
And I think just one more point is that the village will be hosting a Microsoft Teams meeting, an open meeting tomorrow, also at 6 p.m. So if there's some other people who you think would like to hear this sorts of presentations and have other questions that they want to bring to the village, we will be doing this basically again at 6. You can go to the village website. There's instructions on how to join the meeting. We're doing it this Wednesday, and I think then Thursday after the election. We have scheduled
November 5th at the same time.
November 5th at 6 o'clock as well. So if there are folks that you feel like would benefit from having some more of this dialogue and who do feel like they would like to know more, please encourage them to join up tomorrow, at least.
And Leon, I want to tell you something that's kind of wonderful and kind of sad. At our meeting for the 26th, I'm asking the town board to approve $3,000 so we can send out mailers to people to let them know what's going on. So any ideas you have for public engagement, and your wife is in my sights, I'm calling her. Thank you, everybody. Is there anything else?
No, Elizabeth, thank you for putting this forum together. I found it particularly helpful and the dialogue useful. I know it can be frustrating to be sitting in a hall alone a lot, but this is a matter.
It's the best job I've ever had. It's really rewarding. And please, let people know, contact me, contact us. We're happy to talk about this. We're happy to work with Willie. We want this to be the best experience it can. So thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Not
All
all.
right, shall we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Thanks,
Thank-
guys. Good night, everybody.